So welcome to this sacred art studio. And I'm Deepa Liu. I call myself the Creative Mystic on my YouTube channel because I combine creativity and mysticism. And I was given some guidance to share the creation of my next, or I should say one of my next, spirit guide portals. Archangel Gabriel has been coming to me in meditations with different visions, and I've sketched some of them out, but I haven't actually created them. And so Archangel Gabriel came and said, I want you to share this process. And so I'm going to share this process with you. Never done this before where I talk about the process, but we're actually going to be doing it. I'm going to be sharing it with you here in the camera, doing it as I go. So I will be honest, it makes me nervous because it's been a very private process for me to do this. I don't know about you, but many of the things I don't mind sharing it after I've done it. But when I'm doing it, I've always kind of kept it to myself, So I've done my prayers alone. Get these visions. And one of the things about when you create from your mind's eye, at least for me, maybe you're different. And if you're a artist or creative, please, I'd love to see your shares in the comments if you join, and tell me where you're from too. In fact, I'll put that little banner up about introducing yourself in case people drop in and drop out, because I'd love to make this space a place where if you want to come, my plan, at least from Archangel Gabriel's guidance, is for me to do this Thursday afternoons at this time, 3:30. I will not do it the last week of the month because that's the week where I take off often and don't have any kind of appointments. But I'm going to be doing it the next couple of Thursdays, at least. I'm not sure how many there are to the last one, but I'm going to share this process of the creation of Archangel Gabriel. Now, when I see a vision in my mind's eye, I usually sketch it out because I don't know about you, but without being able to, I see the vision, I kind of get it. But it's not the same as seeing something physical, like this Tibetan bowl. So I go and I sketch it out on paper. So like here, this is the Archangel Gabriel. I don't know if you can see it, but that I saw. And it's not just Gabriel. It's also, he's on a flying horse. And when I saw this, and he's come this way to me more than once. And I saw it and I was like, wow. I think I'm going to create that on paper. So what I do is I sketch it out on paper, not every little detail, but I sketch out, the main of what it's going to be. And then after that, I go and I use charcoal on the back of the paper. Just, flat little pieces of charcoal, let you see it, on the back. And I already did this here because I started to do this where I was, I drew it and then put it on paper. And I was like, well, I don't, I want to just make it easy. So I put the charcoal on the back. I don't know if you can see it here because I cover it up with another piece of paper. But the back of it, I put the charcoal on the back. I just rub it on the back of the piece of paper. So I would just flip this sheet of paper over, put it down on here and rub it all on the back. And then what do? I put this piece of paper on a canvas and I trace over it. So that's what I did here already, is I traced it onto the canvas. So it makes it the process of me not having to redraw it when I don't have the actual physical thing to see in front of me. Because, if you do art at all, getting the value, the tone without having something to see sometimes can be hard because you go back and you look at back and forth. So I'm going to start the process here. Now, in order to create the sacred space, I have little rituals that I do because it's important to invite in the spirit guide you're creating. So I'm inviting Archangel Gabriel. So I'm going to actually show you every little thing I do because that's what Archangel Gabriel told me to do. So one of the first things I do besides putting it on the canvas is I put paper on the easel. And some people think I'm anal retentive, and you can think that, but the reason I do is actually very practical. I work on more than one spirit guide at a time. I work on several, I'm working on Mother of Calmness. I've got one for a client that I don't ever share what it is because it's their personal spirit guide portal. So I'm working on that one, and they're all different colors. And so when I used to paint and not put this on here, on old easels, especially when I was in art studio, the paint would get on the easel, and then I'd put up the next painting, and what would happen? That painting, that color, that paint rather, would get onto the new painting that I was put up there. And so I didn't want to do that anymore. So what I do now, because I work on several different, this tape keeps squeaking. I work on several portals at a time. I should say not at the exact same time, but within the same week where the paint would still be wet. I think I'm going to switch this out because that's a horrible sound. I would get paint all over the canvas and have to start over. And so I came up with this little paper towel idea and take it off and throw it away and put on a new one when I get to the next portal that I'm working on. So I'm going to give you my little tips and tricks because I've been doing this for a while of like what you can do if you're a painter or an artist in some way, just some things that I do, especially the ones that I do to invite in spirit. Because one of the great things about creating is the more you can connect with higher power, with God, with spirit, you're in that divine flow more. And that flow keeps you in the process of out of your head that judges you and into your heart and following that divine guidance. Okay. So once I get the little paper on there, I put up my canvas. Onto the easel. And then I actually do a ghee lamp, lighting the ghee lamp. And sometimes I do this in different orders. Sometimes I light the ghee lamp first. Sometimes I ring the bell first. And you'll see I have a Tibetan bell here. I use different ones. I love Tibetan bells. I wonder if any of you do. But they just really, for me, awaken the vibration with me and also awaken it within the space. Because this is all about you putting that intention forth, invoking the energy. So I light a ghee lamp and tell people you don't have to use a ghee lamp. You can use a candle. But I recommend bringing some sort of light that's a flame, if you can. Of course, it's being a little difficult in lighting. And I bring that in. And then I'm going to turn around here for a moment and I focus on the portal. And then I do a little prayer as I light the candle. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, Great Spirit of the universe, and Archangel Gabriel, who invoke thy presence to bring and come forth into this canvas to awaken the energy, the vibrations, the blessings and guidance for all who see this spirit guide portal when it is complete, that they feel blessed, that they feel transformed, that they feel and sense the higher guidance. Om. 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 And then I bring the candle forth, and I do, if any of you know the Mahamrityunjaya mantra or the Gayatri mantra, I do that. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugundam Pushtivadanam Urvareka Bandhanat Mityo Mokshamamritat. Om Bhuvaha Om Swaha Om Maha Om Janaha Om Tapaha Om Satyam Om Tatsavitur Vadinyam Bhargo Devasya Dimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om. And then I use a little Palo Santo to kind of clear the energy, not just of the canvas, but of me. Just clearing my energy the best I can so that I'm an open channel for that divine flow of Archangel Gabriel. Now, obviously, I focus on a different energy depending on what portal, what the spirit guide is that I'm painting. And the reason why you see me saying what and not he or she, and sometimes I'll say he or she, but I tell people the spirit guides don't have a gender. We give a gender. I like to clear the energy of the palette. So here's all my paints. And I see someone put a little comment, so let me. Emily Howard, thank you for sharing. How funny, Emily. Isn't everything in divine order, Emily? You're going to go to some spirit painting thing today, and then I weirdly popped up. So maybe you're supposed to learn it here. Okay, well, I hope you tune in because, like I said, I'm going to be going through this process over the next probably several weeks because if I'm only going to paint on Archangel Gabriel once a week, it will take me some time to paint him because I'm going to paint him. I was guided to paint it with all of you, that it was important to share this energy, this vibration of creating sacred art, of creating. If you're not into spirit guides, it doesn't have to be spirit guides, but into that sacred art. Because sacred art is not just something on your wall. I have a little, I guess, manifesto for me, I guess is what it would be called, where it says art uplifts, moves, transforms, blesses. It is beauty, spirit, sacred. It makes a difference. And I put that up for myself because I was not raised with the idea that art was this important. I don't know if you were, but even though my mother liked to draw and she was actually quite good at it, there was never any importance based on that it was important. So I have it up there in the corner over there, not in any great painting, but it's just a reminder. And I can see right there, art uplifts, moves, transforms, blesses, and it is beauty, spirit, and sacred. And the big thing I have under there, it makes a difference because it really does. It makes a difference. Everything is energy, so everything carries a vibration, a blessing that either takes you up or takes you down. And my purpose of why one of the reasons why I'm here on the planet is to help bring things, art, sacred art that lifts you up. And that's my goal. Now, you can have whatever intention you want, but I was guided to share this process. So the other thing I mentioned is that I, do several spirit guide portals at once. And again, if you're tuning late, this is like totally new for me sharing this. I've never done it before. It's always been a private process. So I use oil paints as my medium, and I use these palettes. They have covers on them, and I use a glass piece on the inside so that I can put the paint on there and leave it and cover it and then come back the next day. Now, of course, if I'm only going to be painting on Archangel Gabriel once a week, it will probably be dried by that far away. But usually, like if I paint the next day, the paint's still good, use it some more. So, I'm giving you my little tips that I found after doing this for a while have worked for me. And then I also will have like several of these palettes so that I have one and I put a little post-it note that says this one's Archangel Gabriel, the other one be Mother of Calmness, one be my client's personal spirit guide portal. And I have them and I'll work on 3 different paintings in a week if I'm having the time to be a painter every day. And the reason why I say that is I have other things I do in our business than just painting. So I love the painting though, because the painting is what actually awakens my joy and opens my heart all the time. So I'm hoping that maybe what Archangel Gabriel is wanting me to do is spread this in the world so that maybe more people do it, because the more we do it, the more that the people on the planet will have open hearts, because I just find creativity really does that. So anyway, so here's the portal. I'm going to start here. And what happens is I get a vision and I see a vision. Now, often I get the vision and I see certain colors or light or the way it is. Now, when I originally saw this vision, Archangel Gabriel, they were like flying out, and it was kind of like this brownish, darkish, kind of grayish color around it. And it was coming out from that. But sometimes when I start to paint, I get guided to do different things. So I don't stay fixated on it has to look exactly like the vision, because, it's like life. Life is a process, and you kind of got to go with what's the flow is that's happening. Here's the other tip I do is I get a little notebook and I write down some of the color combinations, because I don't use a lot of pre-mixed colors. I mix a lot of my colors. That's not to say I don't buy any, but I mix a lot of my colors from the primary colors. And so sometimes I want to write down, like, how did I mix that color? So I don't have to sit there and think about it later. I can just glance at here and do it really quick, because it can take time. So I usually don't do it till the end where I write stuff down. But right now I'm going to get started with putting out some paint colors, because I'm going to be getting ready to put down the basically just, I usually start with putting some color in the background. And then which is probably opposite of what a lot of people do. And I want you to get that is, I don't do things the way trained artists have been trained. Even though I've done art classes and stuff, I go with the guidance that I'm getting from the spirit guide. So Archangel Gabriel is going to be guiding me. Now, the only process that's not going to be shared here on YouTube is the process that usually there's a song or music that I've been guided to play when I'm creating the spirit guide portal. I can't do this on YouTube because they'll probably shut it down. Usually when they hear music, they flag it as a copyright, and I can't get something through, even though it's only a little bit of background music. So I'm trusting that Archangel Gabriel is saying that we don't need music for this one, and it's okay to create them as without a song. Okay. But I am going to kind of infuse it with my own kind of energy of what I think, or not what I think, but what the message was that he gave me. And that's the thing, is every time I get that vision, I get like an intuitive download of why they're wanting to come. Okay. And I'm going to share that probably later when we get more of it complete. So right now, because of the background, and next time I might do a slightly different angle, but I thought you might want to see the canvas when I get going. And so I put it so you can see the canvas rather than me mixing paint. So I'm going to put some paint here on, and then start mixing it and get going with the painting of it. And right now I'm going to actually, put some of this in the back. So, Emily, if you're still on, are you? You said you were going to go to a painting class, but you missed it, and I'm wondering what kind of medium you use. Do you use acrylics, oil? I'm using oil paint. I love oil painting. This one won't open because oil paints, I love it because they're very forgiving. I also like to mix some on the canvas. Like sometimes I'll blend things on the canvas, and acrylics dry a lot faster, so it's not exactly easy to do it. I've even done there's certain colors that will be wet the next day, and I'll blend some stuff in the next day if it's still wet. So that's why I use oil paints. If you're still on, Emily, I would love it if you'd share what medium you do. Or if you don't do one, what you're interested in. Because the big thing that Archangel Gabriel made clear to me that was supposed to be done was about sharing the space, creating this sacred space and sharing it. So, oh, you know what? Because I'm not used to doing this with somebody and sharing, I'm going to, oh, you only tried acrylics, Emily. I've done oil before. I haven't been painting. Oh, you haven't been painting in a long time. Well, I encourage you to pick it up, no matter what medium you use, whether it's acrylic or oil. I forgot because I'm not used to sharing this. We're going to invite in the spirits with the bell. If you know anything about India or the yogic tradition, they use bells to invite in God. So I use this bell to invite in the spirit that I'm creating. So again, I'm going to ring this bell. I'm inviting in the spirits. Hello, Archangel Gabriel. I invoke thy presence into this space, into this sacred art studio, into this canvas that is going to be your portal, your doorway to blessing all who see you, to blessing all who encounter you, to blessing each and every soul that is in the body and on the planet. And Archangel Gabriel is coming through and saying that I'm blessing anybody who is here now presently or seeing this video in the future. And that's the amazing thing about creating these portals, is that as I'm doing them, I get these messages, as guidance of what to do. And right now, the guidance he's given me is to actually not start with the background, to actually, he wants me to outline him with burnt umber. That's what I'm going to use, burnt umber. And he wants me to do the outline. And I don't hardly ever do that. So that's the interesting thing about working with spirit, is you get this guidance and it's not always what you thought it was going to be. Sometimes I get guidance. This is kind of thick. So, also the other thing is that with oil paints that I do, is I have used Gamblin color paints because they do try to do the most non-toxic in all the materials. People think acrylics aren't toxic and think oil paints are, but the truth is that acrylics are toxic too. Can be. I don't want to say they definitely all are, because I don't know how everyone manufactures them. But I've found ways to do it where to take the toxic part out. This is a solvent-free gel that I use to give more fat. If you know anything about oil paints, it's supposed to be fat over lean, which means the first layer is supposed to be the least fatty. And then the layers above it are supposed to have more fat on them. And the reason being is if you do it the other way, where let's say there was less fat in the upper layers, it could cause it to crack earlier than it's supposed to. So if you do a painting, and I actually have one that's happened when I was first learning how to paint, was where it actually cracked. I mean, the painting was done several years ago. It was hard to believe it's probably been 10 years, maybe more now. I'm not good with spans of time. So I added a little bit of fat to this particular umber just because it felt kind of that stiff. So I was guided to do the horse first. So, and this is a great thing. I use this to rest my wrist because it keeps me a steadier hand. And I find I paint better when I have a steady hand. So I use it to rest my wrist on here and just come in here. This paint is so thick, it's like not flowing very easily. I think I might change. So I got to do just the outline right now. Yeah, I think I have to maybe add some more fat because it's not flowing. So I got to outline this in burnt umber, which the reason why this is really kind of strange is because it was a white gray horse. But the thing I've learned over the years of creating these spirit guide portals is follow the divine guidance, and everything that might look like a mistake actually enhances the portal later. And a great example is that is, I don't know if you see that painting there, but that's Our Lady of Guadalupe. I painted that years ago, and when I painted her, I got this guidance to like make the background this ugly gray color at first. And I was just like, I put it on there, but I knew it wasn't going to stay that way. I was just like, ooh. And in fact, people said, ooh, like at the time I was working, painting in an art studio, and they were like, ew, that's ugly. I said, it's not going to stay that way. But as I added colors, and that's the great thing about painting these spirit guide portals, is I find, as you create art, it's like what's the metaphor or something for life? I might not be using that word right, but life is about the process, not people think it's about the finished end, the product. And don't get me wrong, I love seeing the finished product when I get done with the spirit guide portal. But it really is the process of when you're doing things, what's happening. Ah, you like that, Mary? Yeah, I do a lot of Emily, a lot of Mother Mary's. She comes to me, and maybe next week I'll show my wall. There's my wife channels Mother Mary, and she got channeled that she's to do these 54 versions of Mother Mary, and I've been slowly creating them. I had some great fantasy idea that I was going to do them all in like a year, one a week, and that created like pressure that didn't work well for me. It made me feel like I had to rush. And one of the things about when you create spirit guide portals and create these portals is you get a feeling when they're complete. It's not like 5 steps and you're done. It's people think that, oh, like my wife used to ask me like, well, aren't you done with that? I said, no, I haven't got the feeling yet. She goes, well, how do you know when it's done? I go, I get a feeling. I get this actual feeling that the portal is done. Whoops, I slipped. See, now, even though I was slipping, that's okay. Then that's the great thing about oil paints is I could slip and I'll be able to fix that later. In fact, I'm going to scrape a little bit of off right now. And that's the thing about when you do oil paints that I love is that they're forgiving and you can make mistakes. Now, that was why I said that it was like I was nervous about doing this is I've not been a person who liked making my mistakes in public. I was kind of raised to be really competent and responsible, and showing mistakes wasn't the way I was raised. It was like you do everything to the best of your ability and, not hide the mistakes, but you're not necessarily letting people see them, And so because sometimes when I'm creating things like that happen, like, whoops, the paintbrush slipped, especially, this is a different way for me to do it and share this process with you. I'm usually doing this and I'm totally by myself and I'm like in the vibration and not talking to anybody, and I'm just like focusing on the energy of the spirit guide. So this is different to share it with you, but Archangel Gabriel wanted me to do this. Wanted me to share this process with you of like going through it. So the big thing with in sacred art, spirit guide portals, or any kind of sacred art is your intention, your energy. And I tell people that's why, like, for me, one of the other things I do normally, and I didn't do today, because again, this was out of my norm and I might do it next week, is I do a whole routine besides just a prayer to relax my body. It was one of the things that got me into creating spirit guide portals. I started combining my spiritual practices with creating the portals. I started to, well, one, do the prayer, but I also started doing some yoga postures because at the time, many years ago, my art teacher used to yell at me saying, relax, relax, Deepa, relax, because they said that you need to be relaxed to create art. And so I started doing yoga postures. And so if I come in and I'm feeling a little tense, I'll usually do some postures, which I'm not sure how I would do that on camera unless I would have backed the camera way up. But it's important to just do something that helps you relax. If it's not yoga, it can be stretching, or it can be breathing. I'll do that too sometimes. I'll do some, do you know what pranayama is? Some breathing techniques to relax. I'll do that sometimes. But like today, I think the reason why Archangel Gabriel wanted me to do this is it's really making me focus on the energy of the spirit guide when I'm painting. I'm just like, yeah, because I'm not listening to the music, and I didn't do the yoga postures before. But I might share that next time, like what my process is to relax, because relaxing is important. Feeling the flow, not being tense. Like, trust the process, even if you don't know what the process is. It's like kind of being in the moment. And we all hear that. Yeah, be in the present moment. Be in the present moment. One thing I like about art, it brings you into that present moment. The other thing I like doing, which is totally different, that brings me in the present moment, is mountain biking. I don't do it quite the way I used to, but I love being out in nature. And if you're not present mountain biking, if you've ever done it, you might ride off the side of a mountain. And here's the thing: when you do art, if you don't pay attention and you're not present, whoops, slip up, and that's nothing's wrong with that. That's the thing is, oh, well, trust that's going to make the painting better. Trust that's going to make the spirit guide better. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Emily. I totally get it. I hated making mistakes. And like I said, this was new for me because this has always been a private process, because I would not want people to see my mistakes. And Archangel Gabriel's kind of like, well, you're going to go to the next level here. You're going to get okay with people seeing your mistakes. And the thing I learned, though, about when I do spirit guide portals is everything that I've ever thought was a mistake actually made the painting better, especially with oil paints. I don't know if you know about oil paints, but things like, even though you can't really see the color, like on Our Lady of Guadalupe, the gray behind you can't see the gray, but you can see like a hue from it, and that's the beauty of painting, is that you'll see that it adds to the dimension, the layers of it, that even though you're not seeing that color that's on there, it's somehow adding to the way it looks. And that's what I have found, is that it adds to the way it looks. And so Archangel Gabriel is telling me, I'm going to put the outline, but she's saying don't worry about all the little detail. He just wants me to get the outline in this color. And I know when I saw Archangel Gabriel, it had this kind of brownish, goldish color to it. And I can't say I know a lot about Archangel Gabriel. Like, I'm not somebody who knows all the things about the angels. And my wife is much more knowledgeable on the angels and everything. But it's amazing when I get something, like I see something in a vision, and then I go and I check something up on the internet. That's the beauty of the internet. And I'm like, oh, well, the color I saw they said was a color that Archangel Gabriel often comes in. And I was like, oh, didn't know that. And so it gives you that confirmation that maybe you need, is that human person that, oh yes, I'm not making this up. Because when I first started doing spirit guides, or got the download to do them, I was worried, like, am I making this up? And was worried about whether this was crazy. But I have gotten so much guidance lately that I just need to step into this. And so that's why I'm in this place of being willing to come and do this live and just share with you some of my painting time. Now, I thought when I started this that I was just going to show you some of it. And then as I was painting it, that's why I said, oh, Archangel Gabriel wants me to share the process of his creation, that, or his or her, he's saying, I'm not, like, some people think Gabriel's a he and some think it's a she. And I was told it's a them. And what I found with working with the spirit guides is that if something, like, I have a heart chakra angel, and you can't see it here, maybe I'll show it next week, and it has no gender. And when it comes in for my clients, where I say, well, she, or sometimes comes and say, he, it's because that person needs to get more into, like, if I'm saying she's saying blah, 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 then it's because they need to step into connecting more with the divine feminine energy rather than the masculine energy. And so I have found, like, with all the spirit guides, that to be true. So Archangel Gabriel would be the same, most likely, as if Archangel Gabriel is coming in as a he, you want to focus maybe more on the masculine energy. If it's coming in as a she, it would be the feminine. Now, some of why Archangel Gabriel told me that he wanted to be created into a portal for all of you, for you who are watching and listening, is that he said that it's time for people to start believing in miracles again. The miracle of, like, he's saying, like, of your greatness. Like, he says, I'm on a winged horse and I have wings. And one of the things he said when he came was that he wants you to get that you have wings. That it's not just the spiritual realm. Now, when he's saying, he knows you don't have physical wings, but he says that there's always something for you that will give you your wings, that will help you to fly. And when he's talking about flying, he's talking about stepping into your greatness of what you're here to be, do, and have. And like, for me, I got the guidance that, one of the reasons why I tell myself, okay, I'm going to do this guidance. And I always do the guidance, even if I'm scared. But I thought, I really want to get this done. I want to start doing this today. Because a lot of things happened today that I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. And that's why there wasn't a lot of advance notice, but I wanted to get going on it. Was that my wings get put on when I paint, when I create. when I create these spirit guide portals. So I want to put my wings on. So, what do you think would put on your wings? Anybody who's watching this, who is live or in the recording, what do you think you need to start acting on, creating, doing that will put on your wings? And put on your wings so that you can step into that next level. Oops. Of where you're supposed to go. I've never seen this paint be so thick. I think I might have to add more fat, get it to be less thick. But they just said to go ahead and outline this. That's what I'm doing. So if you have any questions about the process or what I'm doing, feel free to put them in the chat or in the comments, even if you watch this later, because it'll go up later. I'll be happy to try to answer them. Letting go of perfectionism and procrastination. Yes, I relate to that, Emily. I call myself a recovering perfectionist. Would you say that's what you are? I'm sure we would love to hear if you think that. But yeah, I call myself a recovering perfectionist, letting perfectionism go. And, I have found that part of what creates procrastination is perfectionism, because like you think everything has to be perfect, or you have to be perfect before you act. And it's been something I've had to work on letting go of, especially with art. I tell people, if you want to be great at anything, especially with art, especially with creating any kind of art or anything that you make that you're going to bring from one form to another form, or from no form to a form, like with oil painting, I'm bringing these tubes of paint. They have absolutely no form. If you opened up the tube, and it would just squirt out and make a blob, right? So when you're doing that, taking it and changing it from one form to another, I tell people you have to be willing to suck. You have to really be sucked to be great. And at anything you want to do or be in life, you have to be willing to suck to be great. And that is a process I work with every day, my willingness to not be good at something. Is that you at all? That's your thing. Yeah, totally, Emily. Yeah, that perfection does not at all translate into a perfect life. That is great insight, because it's so true. People, and the thing is that people don't realize is that the reason why we have that perfectionism is some wound, something happened when we were younger that made us feel like we need to be perfect. Because in actuality, you are whole, perfect, and complete on the spiritual realm. There's not a thing wrong with you. Of course, when we're in our ego, we don't believe that. At least I haven't. I go through fits and bouts of, I feel really great, I'm doing great, and then days where I'm human and I don't feel like I'm doing a great job. But that's part of the process. And then when you create, if you're going to start, Emily, to create art, paintings of any form, you have to be willing to go through the process, because that's the only way you'll get good. And part of that process is, I had to learn, was accepting the ugly stage of a painting. So like this right now, it's just outline. It's, it's like, oh, I forgot its head. Let me finish the head. But there's a points of some of the spirit guides I do. And like, if I get into my ego, I'm like, ooh, this is ugly. It's not looking good, and that voice will stop me because of the fact that I'm judging it. And how do you stop that judgment? So you're not sitting there saying it looks ugly. and really just saying, well, here's part of the process, because our life is like that. We have points of our life where things don't look so pretty, right? And it's like, rather than judging ourselves, of which I do not have this perfected. I wish I did. I can, just like anybody, if I feel really tired, and that's the thing that I have learned to recognize a lot, is if I'm tired or hungry or not feeling well, that negative voice can come up and be judging myself more. Is like, oh, stop, talk with that voice, make friends with it. So here is the beginning of Archangel Gabriel on the flying horse. And like I said, part of his message, and it'll be unfolding as I continue to create him. I'm going to wrap this up today for where we are. I'd love it, Emily, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in before I turn off and sign out. And thank you for being here, Emily. I hope to see you again. I saw that a couple of synergists came in for a moment, but I think she left already. But Emily, my plan is to do this next week, Thursday at 3:30. I'd love to see you come again. And if you have any of your own art, please start it, or if you have any questions. So I'm going to give you a moment, Emily, to see if you type anything in and if you have any questions. Oh, beautiful. Okay, I'm glad it was great for you. And Emily, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. That way you'll get notified when I do this. If I get guidance to do it more than once a week, I will. But right now, it was do this on Thursday at 3:30. So I'm going to do it next week on Thursday at 3:30 too. All right. And so, Emily, thank you so much for being here. It's so much more fun when there's actually somebody to interact with and feel like I'm actually sharing something with the person. I know this shares throughout, YouTube when people go watch it again later, but it's been a great sacred session with you. All right. Blessings. Take care.